Hello everyone, my name is Shayrock, and welcome to the first in a series of videos where me and my friend PK Kitsune are going to be talking about our experiences over the past few years with the game Final Fantasy XIV. Now, each video is going to be talking about a different expansion, with this one being about A Realm Reborn. We're going to release one every day up until the release of or the early access of Endwalker on December 3rd. Though, do keep in mind, there will be spoilers, so if you have not played Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, or Shadowbringers, I do recommend tuning out of this series. It is going to end we're going to end it all on Friday with a stream of Final Fantasy XIV, and that will be over on the Twitch channel. So without that in the way, let's get started with talking about A Realm Reborn, and I'm going to kick it back over to Future Shade. Okay, introduction would have just played. So, hello everyone, I am Shaderock.
And I am PK Kitsune.
God, we haven't done that intro in a while. But, yep, as I said in the intro video, we're going to be talking about each expansion, our experiences in each expansion of Final Fantasy XIV. Starting, at least where we began, A Realm Reborn.
A classic.
200 quests! So we started, what was it, 3 years ago now?
Just about.
Yeah, no, because we started just before the end. Going around 3 years. We started right before the turn of the year, and right when Shadowbringers first got announced.
Yeah, but you got in first. What was it?
Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving Day, okay.
I bought it Thanksgiving. I actually didn't start heavily playing until Black Friday.
Right.
And
over the course of those weeks leading up to Christmas, you just kept telling me about how
beautiful the game was.
It
was mostly the beautifulness of the game. At the time, I was still just maining. I wasn't maining. I was still playing Dragoon, which I think this is something we could give. The early game for the starting classes is kind of slow. It does speed up towards like level 50, but it's getting your combos takes a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. Oh, I know.
Yeah, you started as an Arcanist.
Oh yes, I started as an Arcanist, Summoner main. Looking forward to changes coming with Endwalker.
I started as Dragoon mostly because I didn't want to deal with cast time starting out.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Because I notoriously do not like long cast times. Kind of like why I can't get into Black Mage.
I mean, to be fair, what you had to work with was A Realm Reborn Black Mage.
True, but
Black Mage doesn't really get good until Heavensward, to be honest.
Yeah, but though I will say I'm looking forward to the changes to Black Mage for Endwalker. They're making Blizzard 2 useful.
I know. I can't believe it. I can't believe it anymore.
But the main thing I had to say about Realm Reborn. Now, our opinions on Realm Reborn might not reflect newer opinions on Realm Reborn due to the fact, two reasons I think above all. One, there is the influx of new players from a certain other game that we will not be talking about because there's multiple videos talking about that.
There's an influx of players in general that's been going on since summer of this current year.
Yeah, it accelerated.
Yeah.
And that might also have to do with okay, let's get the meme out of the way. Did you know Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial of the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward?
Including, that is, level 60 content, including the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion and one of my personal favorite raids of the entire game.
Okay, we got the meme out of the way. But yeah, but the main
I mean,
reason
we
I
can
was
talk more about the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion when we get to the Heavensward episode.
agreed. But the main thing is like our experiences won't reflect on newer players because since I forget which version it was, but it was like during the Shadowbringers expansions. I think it was the second major one. They reworked well, not the entirety, but they cut out a little bit of the fat from A Realm Reborn.
Yeah. Also, we started in Stormblood back when tanks and other classes were still very different.
Like like for example, my class Dragoon didn't really change much. It's pretty much exactly the same as it was in Stormblood.
Yeah, Dragoon didn't change much.
Tanks had a complete overhaul.
Like, tank stance now... Tank stance back in Stormblood used to lower your potency for attacks. And you had to manually turn it off to get more output. Which was good for, like, having an off tank. That would be fine. But, like, for a regular dungeon, that's lowering your DPS a bit.
And I tried.
There's a cat crawling all over me.
I tried playing Dark Knight during that time, and it was awful. I really could not get into it.
Yeah, same. I couldn't get used to the stance switching.
Yeah, it was another thing to keep track of. I'll also keep track of the enmity. It was a lot of stuff. I know there are people who like that more, and all the power to you.
Yeah, people loved having sword stance for Paladin.
Yeah,
and then they took it away.
Then there is, in terms of the story, Realm Reborn, especially the opening, it kind of lives a little, it connects a little bit to the ending of 1.0, which we only heard of in passing.
Yeah, like, a lot of what happens in A Realm Reborn is deeply connected to 1.0. But that's, to be fair, that is very understandable considering,
they blew it up!
They needed to blow up the world to make this rework.
And a lot, like I said, a lot of it's just so we didn't have that huge connection, but the characters are great. Like, that was the big thing above all. I think at least I believe you've gushed about enough. We all loved the characters of 14. And a lot of people from commentary on 14, from Jesse Cox to multiple others, have said Final Fantasy 14 is not an MMORPG, it's an RPG MMO. You can take away all these online aspects and the game works just as well. You agree with that, Sean? Hello? I think he disconnected! Ah! Yeah, Realm Reborn was a bit of a rough start, and was actually one of the reasons why I had problems suggesting it to people who couldn't sit down for long games, because 200 quests. And yeah, it was a bit of a slog to get through those 200 quests, because a lot of them were just fetch quests.
Sorry, I was being called.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying how like a lot of the early 200 quests were just fetch quests.
Oh yeah.
Go here.
A lot of fetch quests.
Yeah, go here, grab this, head back. It was just a lot of busy work.
Yeah.
From my understanding, with the rework, they have trimmed a lot of that down, and even Yoshi P and other members of the dev team have admitted Realm Reborn they would love to go back and do a full overhaul for. They just don't have the time.
They don't have the time, and because of the amount that would affect the general infrastructure of the game, they would need... I'd imagine that they'd need probably, like, 2 days of maintenance probably.
Yeah, it'd probably be handled like if they were to rebuild Realm Reborn, it'd probably require the same amount of dev time as a full expansion.
Yeah.
So yeah, Realm Reborn is a bit of it still is a little bit of a slog, but if you're really into like really deep story and lore, you'll enjoy it.
Sorry, my cat pulled my headphones out.
All hail the cat. But the main and like it does, especially in its post level 50 quests, it does a very good job of setting up Heaven's Word.
Yeah.
Which
like here's what I said to a friend of ours last night. 2.3 and up to what was it? 2.5, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
That's not post Realm Reborn anymore. That's pre Heaven's Word.
Which that's something they do very well with all these expansions.
When it comes to like the post game.
The post game is usually like the first two parts of the post game are finishing
wrapping up.
Yeah. The only one that's going to be an exception, according to interviews with Yoshi P and during FanFest, is going to be the new expansion Endwalker, which is the story's going to end with Endwalker.
It's ending with 6.0. And as soon as we go into 6.1, that's when we're going into a whole new territory.
Yep. And we're dealing with, like I said, Realm Reborn has a little bit of growing pains still. Like, when you first start, like, there's a lot of armor and materia that you see in it that just aren't used anymore.
Yeah. Like, full plate.
Full plate, or the hooded cloaks. White
cloaks,
mage
yeah.
White mage
cloaks.
Shields.
What? Oh, yes. The shields that White Mage and Black Mage could use, including their wands.
Yeah, and wands themselves. They all went away. Then, since
like, they're not gone. You can still use them.
They're just not supported.
I wouldn't.
Like, they're not gone, they're just not supported anymore.
Yeah.
White Mage is gone completely, focusing on staff. Same with Black Mage. And they don't even use shields anymore. That all went to Paladin.
I believe that was an artifact from back when you still needed, what was it?
Yeah, it was probably
Guardian?
back. Yeah, I think it was back from.
I think that was the old class.
Yeah, I think it was back from 1.0.
Yeah, there was some old systems that they needed to rework into a newer system.
So yeah, they kept around. They're still there for when you start.
And even before we got into the game, there used to be multi-classing that you needed to do to get certain abilities.
Yeah.
Like, Paladin didn't have its self-heal unless you had levels in White Mage too, I believe.
Which, if I had to
I can understand the cross-class abilities to an extent. It makes things interesting for trying to spec those classes. But I can understand why they changed it.
If I had to venture a guess, I think that also might be I don't want to say a victim, but a mindset of the original lead developer behind 14, which, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the one behind 11.
They were also two of the leads behind 11, yeah. Which heavily relies on cross-classing to get a specific class.
Laughs an absolute virtue.
Laughs in Dragoon.
Oh god. But like 14, like we're trying to also avoid talking a little bit about the main story. Like Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word, we're gonna try a little bit not to talk about the story just because they are part of the free trial.
Yeah, there's that. We should probably at least try to avoid talking about story in general.
Yeah.
To be perfectly fair.
Yeah. I will talk. We will be bringing up certain plot elements. A couple things will be spoiled just by locations where we're going to be filming.
Yeah.
Then let's talk about the first raid.
Ah, yes. The first raid of the game.
The Coils of Muhammad. What is there to say about the Coils of Muhammad?
It shows its age.
The Coils of Muhammad is a raid system that's just not used anymore in 14.
It's not even included with the normal raids roulette, which speaks for itself, I'd think.
It's kind of like, I'll be honest, you know what I'd compare it to? It kind of reminds me of a Destiny raid. Because I'm in a Destiny raid, or at least, okay, for context, for those who play Destiny, I've only done the Vault of Glass and the Leviathan raid. With the Vault of Glass, it was, you start the raid, you fight your way in, you then go through like a puzzle, you do another fight, you then go through like a platforming puzzle, you then do another fight, then you do a maze, then you do another fight. And then you get the final boss of the raid.
Right.
Coils kind of feels like that, where it's like, there's one moment of pure combat, then there's the maze, then there's pure combat, and goes down the list.
Yeah, there's different parts to it that at one point, like the first part of Coils of Bahamut, of the first Coils of Bahamut, or the Binding Coils, rather, you're just busting through the front door.
Yeah.
And you fight one enemy, I believe. Well, no, you don't fight one enemy. You fight a few enemies, but like you fight one node as your boss, and that's about it.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's an interesting design because it's basically a larger dungeon in terms of a raid. Like, you could, if you combined a lot of these parts, you could probably have an alliance raid rather than an alliance raid size, but built for
a normal raid.
An 8-man.
Now, now this is not us saying that the Coils of Muhammad are bad. No, but we would probably recommend doing it unsynced with the free company.
But if you want to do it synced and minimum item level, that's your prerogative. You want to face that challenge? Go ahead.
Yeah.
More power to you guys.
More power to you, but you're probably gonna have to use Party Finder or get signed to build a party, because Coils of Muhammad's not really something people run.
Yeah, people don't run it normally.
The other ones I would recommend that doing that for are the Extreme Trials.
Although I will say, because of the new influx of players that want to try it, people are getting the chance to try it out. So you know what? That's good too.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that this isn't the old days. Because from what I hear, in order to beat the final boss in the old days, the white mages needed to be throwing poison vials at Bahamut.
I heard about that. Like, holy shit. Yeah, there was
not just the white mages. Everyone needed to be popping poison onto Bahamut just to make sure that they actually beat the enrage, which is crazy.
So yeah, no, it is. We were not there during the start of 2.0. As we said, we started with Stormblood.
Yeah.
We only have stories to go by, and and as PK you brought up, there is currently, as of us recording this, a huge influx of players that doesn't look like it's slowing down.
Yeah.
But eventually, we know it will. There will eventually be players will be moving on to new content.
Players will be moving on to new content, or they'll feel like they've gotten enough out of the game that they want, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand why some people might stop playing during A Realm Reborn.
I completely understand that. I almost stopped. I actually stopped for a bit during Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
Granted, there was other reasons for that, but that's not stuff I'll go into.
while I was playing Realm Reborn, I actually took it very slow. Like there was an experience that I had once. I was taking the game so slow that I didn't even have my soul crystal when I hit my first like level 30 dungeon.
I remember that.
Dungeon. Yeah, it was. It was interesting.
You come and you don't have your soul crystal. I'm at your goo going, I jump.
It was. I was in the Sunken Temple of Karn for the first time, I believe. And the party was like, wait, do you not have your soul crystal?
Yep.
And I was like, wait, how did I get that? Because I hadn't been progressing MSQ.
You've been doing side quests.
And I think the funniest part about this, I was like a quest away from getting through the part of MSQ that I needed to.
I delved head first into MSQ and I kept going through it. I got my job crystal, did all my job quests as they became available, all that good stuff. Mostly because I also have my eyes set on getting to a specific class at high level.
Yeah.
I don't regret playing that way. I mean, I have my goal. And I still had a very good experience with Final Fantasy 14 and Reborn. Didn't take it away, though that also probably helped the fact that, like, on my first day, like, as I was just looking around, I got invited to our free company.
And you know what? That's a good thing to have when you're first starting out. Having a free company, or at least having people that you can rely on to be there to help you through certain sections. Because... oh, hang on.
Oh, he did. But,
I'm dead.
we all did. Okay, but yeah, no, having a free company or group of friends to play with does make the game infinitely more enjoyable. Though, I think that can be said about every game.
Yeah, I mean... I think the most important part is to have other players that you know you can call on when you know you're going to be having a bad time with the queues.
If you're playing DPS, we recommend making friends with a tank and a healer.
Yep. Those instant queue times speak for themselves.
I'm gonna miss the instant queue for healer. I'm gonna miss it.
Everyone's just gonna be playing the new healer.
I'm a healer, but...
Can
I just say the appropriateness of using that meme for Sage?
Oh, it's so good.
Because Sage is a Gundam reference. And the meme is a Gundam.
It's a Gundam.
But, okay, well, you've just set off a red flag. Enjoy that. But,
Wait, no.
But yeah, Realm Reborn also had one other raid, which is now actually mandatory content.
Yep.
Which this one has actually stuck around in the roulettes and everything. And that is the Crystal Tower Alliance raid.
We can call it multiple things, but I prefer to call it the Crystal Tower raid. Because it's just centered around...
the Crystal Tower. I forget what it's actually called.
Circus Tower is what the object in question is called. I know that.
Yeah, we just call it the Crystal Tower raid. And yeah, no, it's stuck. It's still in rotation. It is mandatory content, which I think is the only raid that is mandatory, or at least as of us saying this.
As of now. That might change once we hit Endwalker.
Yeah, because which one were we thinking might get made mandatory?
I've heard rumors that they're going to officially make Alexander and Omega mandatory, and they might even be making Void Ark and Evoice mandatory as well.
I don't know how I feel about them making them all that mandatory, just on the grounds of, like, that's sort of the thing a lot of people like about 14 currently. It's that if you're not good at the high-end content, you can just skip past it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get him wrong.
as don't get me wrong, I do think the raids in question have been made a lot easier because of the high-level players going back through them. Even with minimum item levels, they're still...
You're probably going to be finding some players that actually know what they're doing. Or you could just have an entire alliance that doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, that's happening a lot right now, especially in Crystal Tower.
Yeah, because new players are jumping in and not looking at guides. Which, you know, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun to do it without knowing.
Yeah, the main thing is also, because I'm sure many of you have already heard, like, the praise the Final Fantasy 14 community that everyone's been giving. Talk with your other, and I don't mean just your alliance, also talk to the other alliances so they're aware, and you might get some tips, you might get some help. It makes the process go a lot faster and with a lot less aggravation.
You know those times where you could switch your message box to party with the little button in the bottom left corner? You can also switch it to alliance so you can talk to all of those 24 people. It's very useful, especially when somebody needs to warn everyone that Ancient Flare is about to be cast by playing bongos.
God, I will say it's the one thing I'm appreciating with the loss of DOTs. People will stop trying to do that shit.
Oh, people will still try, Nick.
True, I am counting on people not doing dumb stuff. But yeah, Reborn it's a little bit of a slog through all the quests, but if you can get through it, take it at a slower pace, and it's still an enjoyable story once it gets into full gear.
Mm-hmm.
It's held back a little bit because it does have to still come off of 1.0.
Yeah. Although it's still in the better area of 2.x.
Yeah.
Where they're not as restricted by finishing off the narrative that they started in 1.x.
Yeah, so but once you get through it, everything hits the fan and we have to flee.
Yep.
And that will be where we pick up with our next video.
Okay.